But still, oh my goodness, times have really changed. Okay, we have a high schooler in here, and I'm sure she can verify that. Times have just changed from what we were when we were in school. You know, what we did, what we said, you know, everything. Everything is just so totally different. And this class is geared for the parents and grandparents just to open up your eyes. Maybe you know all this stuff, maybe you don't. Because I know I didn't know 99% of it before I started studying and getting all this stuff together. So I have flyers and all kinds of stuff just to, you know, alert you. Because in order for your youth to go through this program and to be, how do I say, in order for them to go through this program and to be successful, they need a partner, and that is you guys. Okay, they need you guys to just walk them through, because as the video, we're going to show a video later on, and he'll explain more in detail what the program is about. But hi guys, they need you guys, okay, to support them to come. So with that said, my first flyer, and let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, my first flyer. Some of these flyers I may not, because I didn't know exactly how many were going to show up tonight. So I may not have enough for every family to get one. If you do not get one, just let me know, and I'm going to document it, and I will make more flyers, okay? And I apologize in advance. Some of my flyers are in color, because I ran out of the white paper at home and I didn't have time to run the store and get more. So if you get a cool fluorescent color, which the youth really like, you know, that's what you'll get. But like I said, if I don't have enough flyers, let me know, and then I will definitely make sure that you guys get them in your hands, because they're awesome tools. The very first flyer that I want to pass out, Eddie, can you do that for me? These are just tools for extra books and things if you want to educate yourself. There is actually 3 books on here that I highlighted. They're actually just resources. One is Every Young Woman's Battle, and one is Every Young Man's Battle. I have not personally read these books, but I have been informed by an awesome youth pastor that they are awesome tools to read. And then another one that I have almost read is on the second page. Is called Teaching True Love to a Sex at 13 Generation. I highly, 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 highly recommend this. If you do not have this book, please order it. It's on Amazon. You can order it for $11.10, and it will change how you look at things with what the kids nowadays are dealing with when it comes to sex and all things like that. It is Christian based, so it's not going to be, you know, telling you all kinds of weird off-the-wall secular stuff. It's from a point of view of a Christian husband and wife, and it's just totally awesome. So those are tools for you. If you want to order any of those later or whatever, that's fine. Okay, the next flyer that I have is called How to Decipher Teen Sex Slang. Okay, and if you haven't noticed, if any of you are familiar with texting, Facebook, instant messaging, tweeting, all those different types of tools that the kids are so into, there are symbols and signs and lingo and stuff that our generation may not know. I know a lot of it I did not know. There's some things on here. Okay, now this is, okay, we got youth in here, so, but you know what? We're going to talk about this in their classes too. So we're going to be very transparent, you know, with your kids, and just like the same with you guys. There's some words on here I'm going to throw out, and I want you to think about it and see if you've ever heard of any of these slang words. Outer course, tossing salad, rainbow party, dirty, high five, and hoovering. Has anybody heard of any of those words? Some of you, not all of you. Who has never heard of any of these words? Raise your hand. Okay, most of you. Okay, even some of our youth. Okay, good.
Even us.
Even me. There was one, and one that I read or knew because of the book that I just suggested. Okay, I'm going to tell you what these are, okay? Outer course is, okay, I'll go to that next. Okay, tossing salad is, okay.
Go to that one next.
Oh, okay, here we go. I didn't highlight the second part, okay. Anyways, tossing salad is, okay, so if you hear youth talking like that, that's what they're referring to. Rainbow party is when girls, they go to parties, kids go to parties, youth, and the girls put on lipstick, and that is called rainbow partying. Another one, dirty, is usually for a girl, and that means that she has contracted sexually transmitted disease. She's dirty, okay? So if your daughter's labeled as dirty, then that's something that you need to, like, you know, that's a thing that you want to definitely check into. High five is a thrilling term for teen sex slang. It signifies that a person tagged is HIV positive. So if they call you high five, that means that you have been tagged as HIV positive. Hoovering is another slang for the youth of nowadays. It means that a person has had an abortion, okay? So if you've never heard of any of this slang, and there's much, much more slang, and you hear your kids talking, you know, using this slang, because they do talk a different language, if you haven't figured it out. When they get into junior high, high school, they start talking a whole different, it's like, okay, whoa, come back here, let's talk English or whatever. You know, mom and dad can't understand what you mean here. Or when you hear them talking with their friends, or you watch and see what they're texting, or what they're putting out on Facebook, such things as that. This stuff is very informative to keep you informed, to know what they're talking about, okay? Because they do not want you to know what they're talking about. Okay, if Eddie can pass that out, that is that flyer.
What they're scribbling on their papers.
Anything, anything. Sorry, youth, but we're going to inform your parents. Okay.
And also for all the adults, we brought water and candy.
Oh yes, pass the candy around, because candy is for the big kids tonight, not just for the youth, okay? We're going to sugar you guys up. Okay, the next flyer that I'm going to talk about is graphic technology. Okay, these are symbols that you will see sometimes on, thank you, when they're doing texting a lot, when they're doing Facebooking and things like that. Eddie, you want to pass that out for me too? You thought you could sit down, huh? Thank you. Anyways, I won't go through it because you can check it out yourself, but there are all kinds of things. I was just like, oh my goodness. Because the second one, I believe I've seen, okay, on Facebook with kids. And another thing is, when your kids see little signs and symbols out on Facebook, or kids are texting them with these little symbols and stuff, they may not know what they mean. And they may just think that they're cool looking, okay? And then they, in return, do it, and they don't mean it, but yet, you know, somebody else might think that they are meaning something, and they're giving them a direct message when in fact they're not. Okay, so these are all the different symbols and signs that, you know, the kids are doing nowadays. Okay, everybody got those? Okay. Oh, yeah, right there. Thank you. Okay, the next thing that I really won't talk about, you guys can read it at home, is on STDs. I do know, I've heard, I don't know what the statistics are, but I know for sure Hemet High, believe it or not, has a really, really high percentage of STDs, okay? What does that tell you? It's telling you that kids are having a lot of sex, and they're not being protected. And condoms, as you may or may not know, do not protect you from every single thing, unless you were able to put it all over your entire body, okay? So, with that said, you know, it's not going to protect you 100% from pregnancy as a girl, and it's not going to protect you 100% from STDs. I won't go into that because the guy on the video does get into that a little bit with the statistics of what's going on in today's time, so I won't cover that, so I'll just let Eddie pass that out. Thank you. And you can just take that home and just kind of read it over and stuff. All this information, definitely take home and read it. Okay. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is The purity program that we are doing is called the Silver Ring Thing, okay? Now, the Silver Ring Thing is actually like a convention, and it's kind of like, if any of you are familiar with Acquire the Fire, it's like a convention geared for kids, but it's geared on purity. It's all about purity. They do video, they do drama, they do music, you know, like live bands and, you know, like a concert type of thing. But it's geared to reach the kids, to encourage them to become pure and to live pure. And for those kids that maybe aren't pure anymore, but still, we serve a God that it has a second chance, okay? So they are able to make a commitment and then follow and go towards living pure for the Lord. Now, some of the things that we're going to do, being we're not going to a concert or anything like that, we're following the curriculum. And as you guys watch the video tonight, we have a 35-minute video for you guys to watch, and it covers different things. In the video, there's 2 testimonies in it. These 2 testimonies are definitely in the ones that the kids are going to be watching. Every time we come and meet, we're going to have 4 classes. They will come in, watch the video together as a group with the girls and the guys, and then from that point on, we're going to break up, and we're going to use the other youth room, and we're going to use this room, and the girls will be in one room, and the boys will be in another. Ron will be teaching the boys, I will be teaching the girls. This way it gives opportunity for them to let their walls come down and not be embarrassed, and we're praying, and we want you guys to stand with us with prayer, that these kids will just bring down their walls and not have fear, not be embarrassed, because this is kind of a personal subject that we're talking about. And but anyways, we want them to just put their guard down and stuff so they can be open. And another thing that we're going to do is these little cards right here. When we break out into our groups, every single youth will get a card, and they will have the opportunity privately to write a question if they want, and then they can turn it, it's all anonymous, they turn it in, all cards get turned in, whether they write a question or not. That way nobody knows who asked the question, okay? And we are going to be very blunt and honest with your kids, okay? Because if we don't and if you don't, the world will, okay? I guarantee it. They're going to educate them, but in a bad way, because Satan doesn't want them to be pure and living for the Lord. So when they write down the questions, we're going to regroup, we're going to go through them, read the questions, and answer the questions. And I don't care what they ask, we're going to answer it, okay? So I'm just letting you guys all know, heads up, you know, if they come home and say, wow, you know, Mom or Dad or whatever, this question was asked, and wow, what does it even mean? You know, because they may not know what some things mean.
And we'll answer them in a non-graphic
way. Of course. Yeah, we're not going to go into details and tell them exactly every single little thing, but we'll answer it as modestly as we can, because it's your job to, you know, go further with it. And be honest with them. When they come home and they go, well, you know, I heard this on the video, or I heard this in the group meeting or something. What does it really mean? You know, because as we were kind of, you know, going over this material ourselves as a family, my kids, Summer, she's 11 years old, was sitting there, and we were just talking in general about oral sex and different things, and, you know, they're like, well, I've heard of that, but I don't know what it means, you know, because they went to a private school. So some of your kids are homeschooled, some private school, and they may not know some of this stuff, okay?
And there are ways to talk to your kids and tell them without being specific.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, we don't want to keep them in the dark. We want to be open and honest with them. At least that's the way I feel. Another thing that we're going to be doing is we have a parent book, okay? We have a parent book and we have a student book. And the students definitely, if you can afford it, they are $6, okay? And we really want the students to have their own book so they can go and mark in it, because there's fill-ins. And this is the books that after we watch the video, we're going to break out into the groups and we're going to go through the student book, okay? And it's broken into 4 different categories. And if you want, you can pass this around on this side. And Sarah, if you can pass this around on this side, look at it, open it up, look at it. There's devotions in the back, and it's broken down into the groups and things. Parent, I only have one, but parent book is also $6. And you can do it also with your kid. It's also broken up into 4 different categories, and you yourself have a devotion. It's just something that you guys can come together, work together, because they need you, okay? They really, really need you to partner up with them and help them to be strong and help them to, just encouraging them. Anyways. So, another thing is there is, now I'm not promoting this particular ring because it is the silver ring thing, okay? I have a ring right here, which I will pass around. It is the silver ring. It's a sterling silver ring. And in the video, which I won't go into that because I don't want to waste time, he will talk about the ring, okay? I can pass around the ring, let you see it if you're interested. It is $20, or you don't have to have this ring, okay? I know some people have a special ring set aside for their daughter or whatever, and that's what they're going to use for the purity ring. It doesn't have to be this particular ring. But at the end of the program, we really, really pray that you can afford or try to get a ring to present to your youth, okay? We would like to do a ceremony, and this is something that we're going to throw out there. We want a ceremony, but we want some feedback from you. We haven't got it all structured yet, but I think it's really honorable for our youth after they've went through all 4 classes to be, honored and to just give them some highlight. We want to do some kind of ceremony, and this is something that I just want to throw out there. We could either do it just with us as a group for those that go through the program, and you can invite your family, friends, whatever, and we can come in and present. Parents would be presenting to their youth, praying over their youth, as a blessing or whatever, and then we can have, a ceremony like that. Or we can have a ceremony where you guys come in as parents and grandmas or whatever, and pray over your youth, present your youth their ring in front of the junior high ministry on a Sunday morning. We could do it that way. So you guys think about that, give us some feedback as to how you guys kind of want to do it. Another thing is, I really like to see it as a group because they went through it as a group, do some kind of ceremony. But another option is you can do it privately with your student. You could take them out to dinner or something and present them their ring, if you want to do it on a real personal level. It's just up to you. I just wanted to throw out different ideas for you so you guys think about that. And that is about it. Oh, we are going to be starting the classes September, and it will be on a Friday. It'll be Friday the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th from 7 to 8:30. And it will just be for the students, no parents allowed, only dropping them off and picking them up, because we want them to really grab a hold of it without without them feeling the pressure of somebody in the back watching them or questioning, you weren't paying attention, or something like that. We don't need no cops in here. Ron and I could be the cops. So
What was the dates again?
7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. That is a Friday.
All Friday night?
All Friday nights, yes.
What time?
7 to 8:30 p.m. Okay? So, and then we will have the ceremony sometime in October, okay? After we're all complete. Now with the 4 classes, there are 4 classes. We really, really, really want to stress that the parents just be really committed in bringing the kids to these classes. We don't really want them to miss any of them because they're so informative. At the most, because we are real people and we know things come up, we would only like to see at least 1 class missed, okay? Because otherwise, if they miss 2, they've missed half of it, and that's not good. Okay, so 1 or less, preferably 0, no classes missed, so that way they can come and participate in the ceremony. At the end of everything that we've presented to you guys, we have permission slips, which I'll put in the back. And it's just permission slips saying that you're allowing your youth to go through our program. And it has your signature, your phone number, that way we can reach you that night in case something was to happen or whatever, and then date it. after this, after everything I've talked about in the video and all that stuff, if you decide as a family that maybe my youth isn't quite ready for this type of stuff, or you know, it's just not your thing or whatever, no harm done, no feelings hurt. You don't have to have your youth go, okay? Just fill out, or just turn in the permission slip or whatever, or not take it, because I'll just put it on the back and then you can sign it, turn it in if you want to do that. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have to say tonight. Is there anything I missed?
I just have one question. Does everyone know what the program is and what it's about?
Purity.
Okay. Do you guys want to understand what that means, the purity thing?
Does anybody not understand it? I think everybody does.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't, you can talk to us afterwards. One more thing. Is there any questions about anything?
Yeah, I must have missed. What's the total cost of the class?
Okay. $1,800 for you. No. Actually, $5,000. We need a new building. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. These books that were passed out, if you want a parent book, it's optional. You don't have to have it. $6. Students' books are $6. Ring, however way you want to get a ring, whether $20. And I will probably order like about 2 weeks before we're done. And I have the ring sizers that came with the program, so you can size your ring, or size your student's ring, finger, gosh, whatever, you guys got it. Okay. And then I can order the rings and stuff. Another thing with the books is I will be needing the money, say, in the next couple weeks, so I can get those ordered and ready, so we're ready to go when we start doing the classes, okay? So total would be, what, $32 for everything if you wanted everything. Otherwise, $6 at the minimum just for your students' books. And that's it. Anything else? Pardon? Oh, yes.
It's just a ring. It's just a band.
There's actually scripture on here.
Is this program the one that's done by, I think this last name of this white?
You'll see it in the beginning. I don't remember the
pass
guy's
it around,
name.
and then
I don't think so. I think it's
pass it around on this side when you're done. And the guy in the video will talk more about the ring, because he also encourages parents to buy a ring too. You don't have to do that. It's kind of cool because he puts it on his finger also, and it's a reminder to parents to pray for your kids, and and to encourage them and help them and stuff like that. But it's option. So, okay. Do you want to do the video right now? Yep. Okay. So as you guys are looking at the ring, you can just kind of pass it around, and we will be going with the video. Okay, and it's about 35 minutes, so we will go about like 5 minutes past 8 o'clock, if that's okay. If you guys need to leave, you're welcome to leave. And there are water in the back, and there's candy, so that's it. Okay.
President of the Silver Ring thing.
Hold on 1 second.
Hi, my name is Denny Patton. I'm the founder and president of the Silver Ring Thing, a sexual abstinence program for teenagers. Back in 1995, my wife and I were living in Arizona, and the federal government came into our town and told us that we had the highest teen pregnancy rate of any county in America. We decided to do something about that. So I asked my wife to head down to Mexico, we lived on the border of Mexico, and purchase some silver rings. And we decided to teach abstinence for about 7 weeks in this youth room that we put together. At the end of it, about 27 teenagers decided to put on the ring, and I thought I was done. However, God had a whole different plan in mind for me and my wife and many other people. We've now visited over 20 countries. We've got about 330,000 people who have been to our program. Over 170,000 people put on our silver ring, and nearly 70,000 have given their lives to Christ in our program. As you can see, God is blessing this ministry. What this film is about that you're watching tonight is an attempt to get you up to speed so that you're better informed and more equipped to help your teenagers keep an abstinence decision should they make one. The hope we hope you see tonight is the hope these kids have. this hope that they've created, that yes, even in this generation, they can make a decision to wait till they're married to have sex. Impossible for some, but nothing's impossible for God. I hope you enjoy this film.
All right, so we're standing out here right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Silver Ring thing. The headquarters are here. We park our truck here and all of that good stuff. So let's go inside, see what people are working on, say hello to some folks. Come on.
My name is Sunny, and this is my story. When I was in high school, I started dating this guy, and it was my first boyfriend. And after some time progressed, we started crossing some lines and crossing some boundaries that I knew I shouldn't have. Sometimes I would feel awkward, and sometimes I would feel uncomfortable, but I didn't want to stop him for fear that I wouldn't have a boyfriend anymore. And after a while, as time progressed, we eventually had sex. Immediately after I had sex, I thought because we hadn't had sex that we were going to be together forever, and that would be the only person I ever had sex with. And immediately after you break up with that person, you realize that you're completely wrong. And then you start filling up sex, trying to use sex to fill in that void, and it just got so much worse, and I ended up making myself feel like I was useless, like I had been used and now I was worth nothing. And one day, after 9 months, our relationship ended. We fell apart, and so did I. And now I felt forgotten, abandoned, useless. I felt kind of neglected, and these are all the things that I thought having sex would take away, were not the things that I hated the most about sex. And I became bitter and resentful, and I just sat there and no one wanted to be around me, and I was alone. And I decided to go into college. While I was there, I met this girl that just wanted to talk to me and get to know me, and she invited me to go to church with her. And I was kind of embarrassed and ashamed, and I didn't really want to walk in there. These people had no idea, and so they came up to me and hugged me and thanked me for being there, and were glad that I was there, and invited me back. I kept going, and one Tuesday they were playing this song that said, "I'll trade these ashes in for beauty and wear forgiveness like a crown." And I sat there and I was just like, wow, this God can take away this mess that I have in my life and trade it in for beauty, and I wanted that. I wanted God to take my mess and turn it into something beautiful. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior that night, and things didn't get easy from there. It wasn't like a quick magic pill or an easy button. I had to change everything about the way that I lived my life. And we're sitting there, and my friend, the same girl that invited me to that church, told me about Silver Ring thing. They showed this demonstration about this heart, about how when you go too far with someone, you give away pieces of your heart, they break your heart, and you have bumps and bruises all over your heart. And I realized that my heart was all banged up, that I had given away so much of my heart, and I barely had anything left to give to anybody else. And I wanted that restored. I wanted a new heart. And I sat there and I was like, how can I get that? I want that really bad. And this girl came on the stage and talked about starting over. And talked about her self-worth and being worth waiting for. And I wanted that really bad. So on February 18, 2007, I chose to start over. I made a commitment to God and to myself that I would wait for my future husband. And I put on this ring. what's going to change? Nothing physical is going to change about me, and I'm still going to know what I've done. And then I realized that there was one thing that I still hadn't done. I hadn't had sex the way that God intended. God intended us to have sex with our husband or wife and only then, and wait for them. And I was going to have the chance to experience that. And God restored my heart. And let me tell you, those memories, I can't really pull them up anymore. And God did that for me. To me, this really means that I made a decision that I stepped out against all odds, and I'm going to wait for my future husband. Even though I didn't live that life before, I'm making a commitment now to start over. And that's what that really means to me. I want to tell everybody out there, people that are watching this video, people that come out to our shows, people that go onto our website, I want them to know that they don't have to have sex. They don't have to be another statistic. They can wait for their husband or wife, and it's possible to start over. It is. I mean, I went to the extreme and back, and I'm here right now, and I'm just wanting everybody to embrace the future tomorrow and not just live for today. My name is Denny, and I'm wearing a silver ring.
So as you've just seen from Senny's story, a lot of these teenagers go through quite a few experiences before they actually have a chance to make an abstinence decision. But now, of course, Senny's wearing the ring and she started over. So how do we really help our young people, our children, from having to go through this journey that Senny went through? It's very difficult for us as parents, you see, because as a Christian parent, we believe God has called us to sexual integrity, that sex was designed for marriage, and our children are to wait till they're married to have sex. It's really actually not a very good idea for teenagers to be sexually active because they're so much more vulnerable to teen pregnancies and these sexually transmitted diseases. But we get into problems because when teenagers are in grade school, it's pretty easy to control that. But when they start to get into middle school and they're out there with their friends and we're no longer necessarily in control, we began to wonder, well, should I start talking to them about condoms? Should I start thinking about getting my daughter on birth control? And then they end up in high school. Now they're running around in these mobile hotel rooms called cars where they can have sex whenever they want to. And now there's this older 19-year-old boy talking to my 16 or 15-year-old daughter possibly about having sex because he quote-unquote loves her. Yeah, we may believe as parents that we need to trust God. We need to let Him take care of our children. But here they are in a very vulnerable situation sexually. We can't afford for them to become pregnant or to get a sexually transmitted disease, many of which are incurable. What are we to do as parents? And that is a dilemma that I talk to more and more and more parents about every year. What do I do? Do I give a mixed message and say, I want you to wait, but here's a condom, or here's birth control, just to protect you? Does that give the wrong message to our young people, to our children? Many parents think it does. I have 3 daughters. All 3 are wearing the ring. I've asked them to wait, and they have been. My wife and I are trusting God for that. But it's not just about that. It comes down to, do condoms really protect our children? As they say on TV, don't be stupid. Don't have unprotected sex. And they lead the young person to believe that if they wear a condom, they're protected. Listen to what I read from the American Academy of Pediatrics website. Here's what it says. Despite record trends toward increased use by adolescents to use condoms, consistent condom use, which means all episodes of sexuality, is reported by less than half of all sexually active teenagers. And that's important when you read the next piece, which says this: condoms used by half and up to 2/3 of adolescents is not sufficient to significantly decrease rates of unintended pregnancy and STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. When you look at this chart I got from the Office of Public Affairs, and also information from the Medical Institute, it says for 6 of the most common STDs, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes, human papillomavirus, and HIV/AIDS, and you take just the first 5, not including AIDS, and you have consistent and correct condom use, it says the risk reduction for chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes, and human papillomavirus is 50% or less. Simply put, condoms simply don't make sex safe enough. Yes, they reduce the risk to some degree, but is it safe enough for our children? And that's the dilemma we face as parents. Do we give them God's message that sex is made for marriage and we trust Him? Or do we give a mixed message and start talking about condoms and using condoms just in case? I pray that you find the right place for your decision. And as for me and my wife, we shared with our 3 daughters, we're going to trust God. We're going to ask you to wait till you're married to have sex. And we're going to do everything within our power to help you pull that off.
And now, laws of the Father.
Law number 5204, appendix number 2, footnote number 18. Be afraid. Be very afraid. It takes very little for me to mistake the sound of your car in the driveway for a chopper coming in over a rice paddy near Pyongyang. War has made me a crazy man, so the voices in my head frequently tell me to clean my guns as I wait for you to bring my daughter home. As soon as you pull into the driveway, you should exit the car with both hands in plain sight. Speak the perimeter password, announce in a clear voice that you have brought my daughter home safely and early. Then return to your car. There is no need for you to come inside. The camouflaged face in the window is me.
This has been Laws of the Father.
This is Kate. Kate is here. Kate's about to do a purity talk.
That's right.
What you call it, right?
Yep.
Are you excited? Let's talk to me.
I'm pretty excited. I can't wait. I love to go out and talk to these kids all the time.
That's awesome. I'm trying to let young people know that it's possible to date the way it's possible to wait for a life. That's good. Now, is it hard? Talk to me about it.
Oh yeah, man, it's hard all the time. There's temptation everywhere that, oh, you can go have sex with anybody, it doesn't matter. But man, it's hard to resist that, you know, but it is possible. My name's Kate, and this is my story. My story starts in middle school. It was pretty much just based on the fact that I didn't want to get pregnant. I didn't know anything about STDs, and I knew I would be terrified if I had to tell my parents that I was pregnant. You know, but as I grew up, it was less about STDs and not getting pregnant, but I made the decision really mine in that I knew that I wanted to wait until I was married to have sex, that I knew that sex was something special, and I wasn't just going to give it to anybody. I grew up in a great Christian home. My parents were absolutely amazing, and they really expected a lot from me. They really made me feel like a valuable person, and I took that, and I knew that I couldn't just give my virginity to anybody. And when I married the person that I was going to marry, that we were going to be together for life, and that was going to be my man. Like, he was going to be mine, and on our wedding night, I was going to give myself to him for the first time to anybody. So I get to high school, and it wasn't easy. I got made fun of a lot. Guys would make bets with their friends to try and have sex with me and to see how far they can get. And that hurts. It's not a good feeling when you're disrespected and you're treated like an object. The media always tells us and shows us through magazines and through TV shows, you know, casual sex just everywhere. And it makes it look like everybody's doing it. And I was just like, am I the only person that's waiting? Then I went to my first Silver Ring Thing show, and it was incredible. There were so many people that believed the same things as me, so many other people putting on that ring, and to me, it was about staying pure, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually, and just keeping my thought life pure. Putting on this ring, it doesn't make temptation go away, but it gives you an answer, and you know what you're going to say, and you know how to avoid those situations.
I finally realized, especially as I got to college, that I needed to date people who held the same beliefs as I did, because I really think that what you date is what you're going to get. If you start dating people who don't respect and have the same values as you, then they're probably not going to respect the values that you have and try and pressure you. In high school, and when people are making this decision, they always ask, how far is too far? But for me, it was never about how far can I go and still stay pure. It was about staying as far away from that line as possible. Because there's no list of things you can do and things you shouldn't do. It's different for everybody, and hormones do different things to different people. And so you can't say this is okay for everybody. It may not be. People ask, well, what about touching? And you know what? I always say, keep the clothes on, Don't touch anywhere that the bathing suits are touching. Things like that, just to avoid any possible temptations, because it's difficult. One night you might just get tired of saying no. So what this ring really means to me, it means purity, and it means waiting for my husband. It means loving him so much that I'm willing to wait even though I don't even know who he is. It means that I'm going to respect myself, and I'm going to have high standards for myself, and I'm going to believe in myself. This ring is pretty amazing because I know that on my wedding day, I'm going to give it to my husband and say, I loved you so much that I waited for you. I didn't even know who you were, but you were that important to me. That it's going to be the best gift that I could ever give anybody, and he's going to get that on our wedding night. I'm not going to give it to anybody else. He's never going to have to share me with anybody else, and I'm going to be his, and he's going to be mine. I wanted to come on tour because I wanted to share my story. I wanted to be an inspiration for other people who hadn't made a decision yet. At the end of the night, I want people to put on this ring after hearing my story and think, I can do that too. I really want people to believe that it's not uncommon to wait, and that it's special, and not to be embarrassed about. When I say virgin, I'm proud of it. I want other people to be proud that they're waiting for their wedding day. My name's Kate, and I'm wearing a silver ring.
Welcome to the parent session. This is one of the bigger parent sessions we've had in a long time. As you can see, we're throwing chairs together, and it's wonderful to see parents show up with their kids for a subject that's this important. You're going to learn some stuff tonight that's going to blow your mind. And you're going to realize how very important it is that you're sitting in this room tonight. How important that is. The role of parents in the abstinence decision. Experts agree that parents play the most effective role in establishing their children's sexual values. Parents are the primary sexual educators in their child's life. Each year, the National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy commissions an independent study. Here's what they found. Who teens say is the single most influential factor in their sexual decision making? My parents. Who parents believe most influences teens' decisions about sex? Their friends. So right off the bat, I want you to see something. You are the #1 person that teaches values to your kids by their own survey. But we as parents think it's their friends. So right off the bat, we're upside down. And that's important to understand, because that's kids saying that, okay? Unfortunately, most parents do not talk to their children about sex because they are either too busy, too embarrassed, feel guilty about their own sexual misconduct, or are ill-informed. And that is the problem. Right there is the problem. We're not ready. Now, in case you didn't know, what's basically taught is condoms. That is, it's abstinence and condoms. And when you look at condoms, which you have to look at the difference between perfect use and typical use. Perfect use is how they test condoms in a laboratory. Typical use is how they are used in the real world. Okay? 85% of the time, if you use a condom for 1 year, 15% of the time, as a teenager, you will get pregnant. In typical use. In perfect use, it's 2%. So you can see already that when you use a condom in the real world, pregnancy comes into play like never before. Look down to number 4. A woman's cycle where she can get pregnant, as I've been told, I'm not a woman, I don't know enough about this, but I've been told it's 7 days. 7 days. But you can get a sexually transmitted disease every day you have sex. So you're 4 times more likely to get a sexually transmitted disease in a 28-day cycle than you are to get pregnant. You probably don't know that. People don't teach that. But that's what happens. So some of these diseases, the condom offers next to no protection. That's just correct usage. You still have consistent usage every time. If you don't use a condom every time, and I don't know what this percentage is, I'll just throw something out there for an example. Let's say you use it 75% of the time. You would be considered a hero. But in these diseases, they're so infectious, especially with teenagers, that in many cases it would be as if you didn't use one at all. That's the chance of the 25% that you didn't use it of still getting these diseases. And even when you use a condom, you can get the diseases. That's why I'm so angry about what's taught to our children about this. In the United States, more than 65 million people are currently living with an incurable sexually transmitted disease, despite the fact that STDs are extremely widespread, have severe and sometimes deadly consequences, and cost billions of dollars each year. Most people in the U.S. remain unaware of the risks and the consequences. That comes from the U.S. Center for Disease Control's website, and that was 2000. We're much past 2000 now. It's probably over 100 million. Now, how many of you knew, walking in here tonight, that there are 65 million Americans walking around with an incurable sexually transmitted disease? Raise your hand. I'm going to count. Raise your hand. 1, 2. There's about 200 parents here tonight. 2 people knew that. How is that possible? That's an epidemic. 1/4 of the U.S. population has an incurable sexually transmitted disease, and you don't know it. You know why? Because if you find that out, you will freak out. And you won't take it anymore. If you have kids and if you love kids. That's unacceptable. Do we have a worse disease? Do we have a worse epidemic in America that you're aware of? I don't know of one. Do you understand? U.S. Center for Disease Control's website's where they came from. But the media can't let you hear that and find it out because you will freak out. Non-curable. There's only 4 of the 30 sexually transmitted diseases that we're now dealing with that are incurable. Only 4. Herpes, HIV/AIDS, hepatitis B, I believe it is, and human papillomavirus. The others are bacterial. There are some antibiotics that can reduce and take away the disease if you catch it in time. But because most of the time you don't know you have it, a lot of time the damage already happens. Listen to this. Did you know that teenagers are more susceptible to getting these diseases? More than us. We have some protection, not much. Do you see the craziness of this? A teenager's body is more susceptible. 85% of the time they don't know they have one, they haven't, so they ask the guy, do you have a disease? They ask the girl, well, no. And he doesn't think he does. She doesn't think she does. Did you know this? When you add oral sex to the formula, just about every one of the 30 sexually transmitted diseases you can get from traditional sex, you can get through oral sex. So now girls are going with their mother to the doctor thinking they have strep throat. No, that's actually gonorrhea of the throat. And cancers are going to the necks and shoulders, I've been told, and the mouths and the throat and whatever. It's insane what's going on, what's being taught these kids. You can read more about that. Okay, 9 things to do. We'll get out of here. 9 things to do when you go home tonight. All right? Just 9. Number 1. Number 1. Talk to your children early and often about sex and be specific. Okay? You need to talk to your kids about this. And you need to be specific. If you don't do this, somebody will do it for you. Number 2, support your child's commitment. But remember, it's their decision, it's their vow. You encourage it. This is their ring on their finger. It's not our ring on their finger. I've seen parents do this. They punish their kids. They'll say, I thought you were going to be different. I thought you were changing. Well, look at you. Look what you just did. And you're wearing the ring. What's wrong with you? Like we did better. Oh, we were great. Oh, we were high school. We had this stuff worked out. Like they're not getting piled on enough in school with this wearing the ring thing. No, 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 no. It's their ring, and we always support it. Number 3, supervise and monitor your children. Establish rules, curfews, one-on-one dating, ages, and standards. Know what your kids are watching, reading, and listening to. Know who your children's friends are and their families. That's very important. Okay? Set standards. I don't have time to really get into this tonight, but it's important that you set the standards before you get to them. Like if you want your kid to be able to date one-on-one when they're 16, don't wait till they're 16 in love. Unless you like war. If you like war, that's a good one. Tell them when they're 10 that this is our rule. It's very important. Number 4, be clear about your own sexual values and attitudes. Know that your sexual past does not disqualify you from setting standards. Remember, we all make mistakes. We can all be forgiven. This is the one I talk to parents about more than anything. Listen, they say, I have a hard time talking to my kids about this stuff because I made a lot of mistakes. I wish I hadn't made. So in other words, because you made those mistakes, you can't talk to your kid, right? So the pastor in a church can't teach on sin because he's a sinner, right? So please don't touch on that subject because you're a sinner and you can't teach on it. No, 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 no. We teach on it because we don't want them to experience the same things we experienced. Number 4. No, we just did number 4. Number 5. Meet the children, people your child's dating. This is important. Inform both dating parties what will and will not be acceptable. Particularly pay attention to age differential, especially guys with girls and girls with guys. 2-3 years difference is a disaster. Almost every time. If that's going on in your life right now, I'm telling you, you're up for a problem. Okay? Number 6, discourage early, frequent, and steady dating. You know, work on the group activities and help it out to happen. Number 7, open up your home. This allows you to control activity, encourage fellowship, and set values. This is huge. It'd be great if your home is a place where they want to come. Because you can set values. And you only need one thing to make this work. One thing. Food. Number 8, all of these steps are important, but they must occur in a strong, close relationship built from an early age. Strive for a relationship that's built on biblical principles. That's how it's going to work. And finally, what I want you to do is I want you to put on this ring tonight as a parent. Why? Don't go home and tell your husband or wife you're now absent and get me killed. I'm not talking about that. That's not the idea here. I do not want to be facing guns, okay? I wear this ring on my hand, above my wedding ring. I don't care about the gold, silver thing. Doesn't bother me at all, okay? Here's why I wear it. I wrote them down for you. Number 1, it's a constant reminder for you to pray for your child every day. How cool is that? How cool is that? Do you have a better plan? I think not. What happens when a parent prays every day for their kid about this issue? Do you think God is paying attention?
Stuff impacts teenagers, and I think that's just the bottom line. That's the truth. There's a message out there that says you can wait, and these guys are saying it. Well, I'm expecting to be a very spiritual program, encourage young people to practice a life of abstinence, and it really delivered. It was really a great program.
I was excited about it because it was giving my kids an opportunity to hear it from someone around their age, you know, their peers, people who live it and do it.
what's the biggest influence in a young person's life in regards to sex? What's the biggest influence?
I think parents are the biggest influence in their kids' lives, and then probably next to that would be media.
I think the parent needs to be absolutely involved more than they ever have been before in the history of the world because of what our kids are going through today. I think it's up to you and I as parents to do that today. I think that we need to find out more about it. We need to know more about what our kids know about it. And unfortunately, our kids know more today than we do. And I think it's time that we understand it more from a biblical perspective, of biblical principles, that we need to find out about this so our kids aren't facing the things that other generations have faced.
Well, now you've heard our stories, you've heard our testimonies, teenagers and young adults gutting out their decisions to wait till they're married to have sex. Yes, it is possible, even in this day and age. So what are we as parents and even grandparents to do to help them? You know, parents are the #1 reason a teenager keeps their abstinence decision until marriage. I have 3 recommendations that I'd like to give to you right now of what you can do to make this work in your family's life. First and foremost, I'd like you to do what I'm doing. I have 3 daughters, 2 in college and 1 about to come into college, and they all put on a ring when they were young. And I now wear a ring on my finger right above my wedding ring to remind me to pray for them every day. I also wear it to remind me to pray for their future spouses every day, and I wear it to pray for my own purity every day. I highly recommend that you put on a ring to pray for your kids. We wear the ring to pray. They wear the ring to wait. Secondly, we have some resources for you. I don't know if you feel quite prepared for this battle. It's a long journey. For some of these kids, it may be 5, 10, 15 years before they get married. Are we ready to help them along the way and all the things they're going to go through? We'd like you to get some of these resources and get equipped so that you can encourage and inspire the absence that they're about to live out before us. And finally, we'd like you to become an advocate of Silver Ring Thing, of this abstinence movement. This film you're watching right now, it's called Project 434. What that means is Project 434 is the verse on our ring, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. It is God's will that you be sanctified, meaning you be set apart or be holy, that we learn to control our bodies and avoid sexual immorality in a way that's holy and honorable to God. That's the verse on the ring, and that's God's calling to us. It's His will. We want to get that message out to the world. How do we do it? Through Project 434, this film and resource set of materials for churches and small groups and parents. Help us get this distributed. You know so many more people than we as a team at Silver Ring Thing will ever know. Maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your family, maybe it's the youth group or pastor at your church, whomever. We need advocates to help get this message out there. Well, God bless you and all that you do to help your children truly remain abstinent until they're married. It may seem impossible to the world. With God, everything is possible. God bless you.
Okay, so there you go. That's kind of what it's going to be about. First of all, I want you guys to go like this. on your shoulder. That's from me. I am so proud of each and every one of you that came out tonight. It is, it's, you know, displaying something really big. I'll try not to cry. No. I'm sure you guys, your kids went home and told you a few weeks ago I just stood up here and delivered a message and cried half of it. But anyways, that's another story. Basically, I hope you guys know this is going to be a long haul, challenging commitment as you as parents to help your students along. I don't know if you know, with this book, I didn't pass it around, but this book that I talked about earlier, Teaching True Love to a Sex at 13 Generation. I cannot push this book hard enough to you. If you do not have it, please, 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 please get it. It is a very big eye-opener. It will show you and tell you how the kids nowadays, the youth of nowadays, are so pressured. Everything that they do, see, look at, go, hear is sex, 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 sex. That's all they see and hear. In schools, when they make a commitment to stay pure, they are teased, they are harassed, they are tortured sometimes by kids. It talks about this in this book. It talks about how a girl made a commitment to stay pure, and she went to school, and the boys knew she was staying pure because she was making a statement and took a stand, and they pushed her up against a wall or something, threw up her shirt, and laughed at her and mocked her. This is what our kids are dealing with, more than what we ever dealt with when we were in their ages. So this is a big eye-opener. It tells you what they're dealing with, what they're going through, and it also promotes staying pure for your future spouse. It just opened my eyes. I was just like, dang, man, why didn't I read this when I was a teenager? You know, because I would have done things a lot different too, because I made a lot of mistakes myself. And I wish I would have had this when my 3 older girls were home, because they wouldn't have to go through all the junk that they went through because mom was dumb and naive and in the dark. So anyways, try to get this book if you can. Pretty much that's it.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, do you have any questions? Yes.
Are they going to watch this video?